Hey, good afternoon. Give a few more minutes here for everyone to join in.
Hey,
Delena, hey, how are you today?
good. I figured out the
We got it figured out. That's great.
yes.
No, that's great. We're all learning how to do this. I've messed up the last one too. So, yeah, still learning how to do this. Well, super excited to be on with you today. Our goal here, high level, is a conversation that could be just a blessing to others as they
Mhm.
maybe one of you 20, 25 minutes over a lunch break. So, I'd love to hear more. I know you're working with a bunch of different organizations, nonprofits. Would love to hear a little bit more of your journey. How did you get into this? Tell us your story in a way, because I know your experience certainly could be a blessing to others in a similar spot.
Sure. So, I grew up in church. And from a very young age, I felt a call to ministry. And I thought at that age that I knew what that would look like. Um,
Okay.
but I realized pretty young that I hadn't really met other people with the strengths and talents that I had, and especially
Okay.
women in ministry. So I didn't really have someone I was like, oh yeah, well, I want to do exactly what they're doing.
Mm, mm.
So I didn't really have a path trailblazed for me that would lead to where I thought I'd end up. So I went to school for ministry. So
Okay.
my undergraduate is actually in ministry. And I kind of assumed I was going to end up on the missions field.
Oh, interesting.
Um, that was kind of the path I was going. And that's partially because I don't think, again, I didn't see other women in ministry that were like me in the local church.
Okay.
Um, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, well, this person holds this role and they do similar things to what I think I'd be good at. Um, I know it sounds kind of weird, but maybe my person, I love my daughter dearly, but I'm not great in a room full of young children.
Okay. I gotcha. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that is
That
stressful to
makes two
me.
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I'm probably not fun enough to be youth pastor.
Okay.
Um, and I'm pretty
That's fair.
introverted. So I'm not shy anymore, but I'm pretty introverted. So
Mm.
like speaking on stage, I do it, of course, but it's not really something that I really want to do on a weekly basis. So there goes lead pastoring. And plus, by the time I graduated college and didn't go on the missions field, I wasn't ready to be a lead pastor.
Okay. Yeah.
That wasn't um that wasn't the path that I was on. And so if I didn't want to be a kids pastor, I didn't want to be a youth pastor, I wasn't ready to be a lead pastor. Um, I didn't really know what other options there were in ministry since I didn't
Okay.
end up on the missions field for a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Um, kind of rules out a lot of things if you think about it, because that's usually like, those are the basics.
Sounds like that was a tough period of coming to realize that in a way too, huh?
It was, it
Yeah,
was,
yeah. A lot of
it was
mismatched
interesting.
expectations.
Yeah. And there was that tugging between like, my family's like, why didn't you go into business? Because my family's like, you're good at this. Like, you're excellent at math. You're good at business. Like, your logic skills are great. Like, my family, like that, or Christians understood my call to ministry. My family that wasn't, were just like, we don't quite understand what you're doing with your life. But yeah, so like, and my teachers in school in high school were like, why aren't you going into engineering or something like that, type stuff. So like through college, I had kind of wrestled with that a bit, because it's like, okay, well, I feel this call in my life. But like all the jobs that are related to this seem to be for people that are more extroverted, or it's not that I don't like people. I do like people. I really do. But like very, very people focused things.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't make the world's best counselor. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just not in my skill set. So all of the like ministry jobs I had known about, they're very, very, very people oriented. And I'm like, that is draining for me. I don't think I can do that for the number of hours required every week. I can do some of it, but not that many hours of it. So it was kind of this like struggle with God. And I can't say it was solved through college by any means. So post college, like I married my husband, and I was like, I just need a job. Like, if I'm not going to get hired by a church because none of these roles suit me well, like I just need to work. So I ended up in insurance, and I ended up learning things in accounting, working in accounts receivable, just getting my hands in just secular employment, and then volunteering at church. Okay. Just filling in variety of different roles over the next several years, learning different things, figuring out what did fit me, figuring out what did not work well for me.
That's fair.
And, you know, but I'm an adult now, so like I have to provide for myself. And so my like secular employment like got me really used to handling large amounts of money. Like, okay, I processed $500,000 this week. Sure. Like you're just like, okay. So it gets you to the point where you lose that sensitivity around money. You're just like, okay, this is normal. I just process so much money that like, it's just my normal topic of conversation, versus some people really shy away from that. Okay.
Delena, it almost sounds like as well at this time, right, where you were wrestling before, like, hey, culturally, like, how do I fit into some of this? Am I hearing for you that this was a natural fit, though, in terms of working with the numbers and working with the math, and in a sense there, like that aligned with this idea of kind of how you're wired?
Yeah. So I've always been good at math. So like my day job with working with numbers, like wasn't stressful to me. Like I was good at it. But it was still always that like tugging. I was like, but this isn't ministry. Like I'm just working for a company and they just have money coming in and I'm processing it. You know what I mean? So like, I was still like, I didn't know then. Like there's things I didn't, there's a lot of things with hindsight. You're just like, all of this makes sense.
Yeah.
I needed these skills later on, but I was like, why? Like, I didn't understand that, like being able to process large amounts of money without blinking or getting nervous about it or having issues with it, like would come in handy later. Like, I'm just like, this is a day job. Like, I want to be serving at the church. This is a day job. And so it was a number of years, but eventually I did work myself into a full-time job at the church. And I got handed the church financials.
Okay.
They're like, here they are, they're yours now. And that like set off a cascade of things where I'm like, well, yeah, now I've done business financials.
Okay.
But churches are a different thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Talk about that difference. Talk about how you adjusted to working for church financials.
Oh, a lot of research. That set off a lot of research. Because like there's like standard practices in business and like things that apply to everything.
Right.
And then there's like all the like minute weird things that just apply to churches, and then especially religious nonprofits.
Yeah.
So then you get into those. So like you've gone from like all corporations, and you've got business over here, you got nonprofits over here, and then you get into religious nonprofits, and then like you get into the exceptions of like what schools and like daycares can do versus what churches can do. So I felt like when I first took it over, I was looking up things all the time, and there's not good resources for it. I'll just be honest. Google can steer you wrong very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So like when I started like, and you also don't know what you're looking for. So I spent like the first couple of years is like, okay, well, that looks weird. But I don't even know what the problem is called to search for it. So that kind of, like I said, was a lot of research. And at the beginning, I felt like I didn't have resources or people that could be like, here's what that's called and here's how you find it. So I'm sure I made plenty of mistakes in my like first year or two.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah. I caused a few panics for sure, because I flagged things and I was like, I don't know if this is right. I have enough information to know if this is wrong. This is really, really bad. And some of them were wrong and I fixed it. And some of them were like, oh, this is something that's unique to nonprofits and it is actually right. But if this is a business setting, it would be wrong. Right. So I caused both sides of things that were like, hey, if this was wrong, there's bad consequences, but if it's right, it's different than the business world. So I did a little bit of both in my early years.
I gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
So it's not been without bumps. And after a couple of years of the church, turns out I was actually really good at the financials. Like,
you got over causing problems and you got mostly into solving problems, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
Like, any new job you're taking on, you're going to have that period of time where you're just like, you've got to learn all the details. Yep. And you're going to flag things. Well, hopefully you're flagging things. If you're doing with financials, you should be flagging like.
That's right. If you're paying attention, you're going to be seeing some of these things that we should be asking questions about, right?
Yeah. So, and I've always been a person, I'm not good at accepting this is just the way things are. I've never been that person. I want to know why. And I like to improve processes. Like if there's a way that works, I have no problem following it. But like, if there's a better way that still like meets all the criteria, then like, I'm going to find it. But I don't like doing things just because I've been told to do things. So sure, like when I first picked it up, I was just doing things because I was told to do it that way. But then like I started investigating, I was like, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way to do this? Is this following all the things that we need to follow? Like, and that might've been annoying to people that were working with me in that stage because I ask a lot of questions. But I've always liked to learn. So like that kind of built up my knowledge in like this sphere very quickly because I just kept asking questions. And eventually that like started linking me to other people that actually had knowledge in this area. And I started working my MBA during that too, because I was like,
did you really?
I did. So I was like, yeah, my undergrad in ministry is not cutting it anymore. Like,
Now it's time to get serious about some of the technical aspects here.
Yeah. So I started working my MBA, and even though I went through a Christian university, and did this whole thing with accounting and nonprofit organizational management, all the classwork was still for for-profit entities.
Interesting. Okay.
So that meant every single assignment, I'm the student that's like, well, how does this apply in a nonprofit setting?
You're doing the translation work while you're going through it. I've got this over here in the business, and what does this mean for my nonprofit work? Oh, great.
Yeah, because I was like, it's great that I know how to do international shipping, but like that doesn't apply to me. It's great that I learned hotel like financials, also doesn't apply to me most of the time. I will say it has come full circle, and that has been a thing before. But Yeah. So I just kept asking questions. And by the time I got through my MBA, like my capstone, I ended up doing it in like how to prevent church fraud and misuse of money. So then
Okay.
like wrote like 60 pages on like internal controls and financial management of churches. So I felt like, you know, I took the formal education, I took like all of the like life things. And in the middle of all this, I ended up working for our denominational regional headquarters for all the churches over Pennsylvania and Delaware. So then
Okay.
that threw me from, you know, a local church setting of 300 plus people to, hey, manage the financials of a district that oversees 400 churches.
You had 400 churches you were helping oversee.
So I wasn't doing the individual churches, but the denominational over like umbrella over 400 churches and about
Wow.
1,200 ministers.
Wow.
So
Was
like,
that stressful to you when you stepped into that? Or were you like, this is what I've been training for, coach put me in the game?
oh, that was started over that whole first year of like, do I know what I'm doing again? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so like, you know, is new software, okay? Software that like I've never seen before and not
Hmm.
an easy software. So like for my clients, a lot of times I use like QuickBooks, um, which, you know, it's not perfectly designed for nonprofits, but it's one of those things that it's widespread and enough people know how to use it and training's
Hmm.
easily available. Now I stopped into like specialized software. It's like, it's permanent. And if I do something, this has a huge ripple effect. And
Hmm.
it took me a year to be sure, like every time I messed with something that like I knew what was going to happen like down the line in the software so that like I knew where to look of what it affected across all the financial aspects because it like is fund-based accounting. So it's like tracking not only the income and expense, but it messes with the balance sheets, it messes with the net worth in different funds. So that set off a whole year of asking questions there and asking like talking to the people there about how like, you know, running youth camps work. That's where I said like the hotel stuff comes back in.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Like we operated a conference center with like overnight stay rentals and food and like all of those things. So how women's conferences run, like how do you support ministerial counseling, like the ministers paid dues, like how do you fund when you're at a denominational level, like you have so many different programs running, like you have large programs running multiple of those a month,
Hmm.
like between events and fundraising and things that people are participating in, whether they're long-term or short-term things. You have so many different things running at once, unlike in a local church where you have like, you know, you have a couple big events per year and you have like your life groups and your Sunday morning that's like operating regularly. Like this is like the district level is like a church on steroids.
Yeah.
So, and then you get into so many different things because, okay, like there's sales of stuff. Like I said, there's the rentals of, we own an entire facility with hotel rooms and dining packages and like all of those things. You have like trusts and a whole lot of funds that are designated that have to go to certain places. So, like I said, set up a whole cascade of like, oh, I thought I knew what I was doing. And here's a whole new tier to learn. Like,
Yeah.
and it also, that working there became, we are the people that get the questions from the 1,200 churches of every time they got into a weird situation. It's like, oh, what do we do here? So
You
then that
became
set
the
me up.
expert. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's if
That's
I
what you
didn't,
get for asking questions. Now you have to answer questions, huh?
yeah, you've become the
Yeah.
person that has to answer them. So luckily by that point, it's like, okay, well, I know where to find these answers now. Like
Hmm.
if I know who to call, or sometimes that's talking to lawyers, sometimes that's like um, reading like not so fun, like financial legal textbooks, and looking at how the IRS laws work. And, um, you know, a lot of people mess up things with clergy compensation. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like different things that just, you know, each step along the way, like I felt I was learning something, but I just kept hitting the next tier and hitting the next tier. And it's like, oh, there's still so much to learn. And I won't say I know everything, but at least I know where to find answers now.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
yeah. So, and more recently, basically in my time at the district, I just kept receiving more and more requests from our churches that they don't have anyone with my skill set to serve them.
Wow.
So like, that's where like kind of my heart kind of got it started divided into. It's like, okay, if I'm working here full time, like this entity is millions of dollars. It takes full-time work to stay at the district and do all of their accounting needs.
Yep.
But I love serving with our churches. Um, it's just one of those things, like, obviously when there's only a couple people in financials at a district level, you can't do the financials for 1,200 churches. Like, it's just not possible.
Right.
Like, we could hire multiple people just to answer all of their questions.
Just to answer questions.
Yeah. So I felt God calling and pulling me again, and it's like, hey, why don't you serve more of them? And I just started saying yes, and like serving more churches, helping them with their payroll and helping them like set up processes and do things right. Getting them out of emergency situations where they're like, hey, somebody quit and we just don't know how to do any of this anymore. Or someone's older and retiring and they've done it for 30 years and they've done it on paper. We don't know how to do this in the modern age. And, you know, I made the decision. I was like, I'm going to build up my clientele, and I'm going to step away from the district and just serve our ministries.
Wow.
So
were you nervous to do that?
Oh, it's terrifying. Like, because it goes from like, okay, I have a very, very steady paycheck at the job I'm doing. Like, my job was stable, to like, okay, now like taking care of my family, and this is all on me now to like serve my clients well and to have enough clients to care for my family well. And I'm it. Like, at the district level, it's like, okay, well, you know, the elected treasurer technically takes the heat if there's problems, even though it's my job. Like, there's up the food chain there. But with this, I'm it. Like,
you are the food chain.
I am the food chain. So, but I love it. It means like each day, like, yeah, sure, there's all the mundane tasks. It's not like there's always information that is pulled from one software to put in the financials. There's all the data entry pieces that it's like, okay, well, this doesn't take a ton of expertise to do. But then when you have a number of clients, they're always doing different things. So it's just being able to, you know, meet their needs, give them like the information they need to make good decisions. So like a lot of them, I help them through their budgeting processes. Talk about like, hey, realistically, like, here's what I see in your giving trends. Like, this is how much income I'm projecting you to have. Like, this is like, hey, you're paying your staff. Let's make sure that everyone's being paid right. Is this a livable wage here? What are you expecting at them? Like, we need to make sure we're not violating like labor laws, all sorts of things. Like, okay, well, you have the funds left. Well, maybe not yet, because, you know, you have a building. So like those funds are kind of fixed. So utilities are going up. You know, you have these repairs, like certain systems in your church they're gonna fail at some point. That HVAC system doesn't last 50 years. So
the roof.
The roof, always the roofs. Okay.
Always the roofs.
It's always the roofs. I could tell you how many times the steeple leaked when I was on staff at the church. Okay. Like,
I love that. Delena, I'm hearing an arc in just our conversation here, which is really cool, of going from this place of, I don't know how I fit into ministry, and yet I feel really called to that, through to now where you have ministry coming to you and saying, hey, we need you to fit in over here.
Yeah.
Talk about a little bit of that, and maybe even kind of this process going forward as you continue to build out your business and all. How does the arc of that journey impact how you think about things going forward? And also maybe how you talk to some other people who might be in similar situations, younger people, especially wrestling to figure out, hey, how do I fit into ministry?
Yeah. So like I said, when I was younger, I had only seen ministry done a certain number of ways. Like there was those stereotypical roles of lead pastor, youth pastor, kids pastor. You might get an associate pastor that usually has to do kids or youth too.
Yep.
Or, and then occasionally you have like in a bigger church, you might have more specialized roles. Okay.
Yep.
But I grew up in a fairly small church. And then when I was in high school, my church grew a little larger. And then, through college, and then I joined a church that had taken growth, and then COVID did all sorts of things to attendance and financials and all of that, threw in tons of wild cards there. But because I feel like I had only been taught that like vocational ministry looked a certain way. So it's like, okay, well, you can have these roles in a church. You might be able to be an evangelist, or you can be a missionary. But like, everyone was like, okay, well, your church secretary doesn't do ministry. Right. Or they're like, okay, your church accountant doesn't do ministry. Your like, the way people viewed ministry was very, very boxed. Yep. And when you just don't fit those molds, it takes that struggle. So like, but what my life looks like now is like, I work with multiple churches, like Christian schools, daycares, like outreach programs, evangelistic programs, missionaries. So like, I work with them on a daily basis. I don't need to be your person on stage, like running the show and in front of all of your congregants. Like, my role in all of this is that like your organization runs well so that you can do all the ministry that serves your community well. Like, if you've got a fire going on in like how your church is operating, and I'm not saying like churches are full on businesses, like in a legal sense they are, and not that they have to be run completely like businesses, but they still have regulations and rules and all these things you have to do well for everything to function. So if this is all chaos, that affects how you do ministry out there. If I can make this all stable for you, then that lets the people I partner with do their ministry well. They know what they can spend funds on, what they don't have the funds for. We can get creative about like, hey, how can we make your vision happen in a way?
I'm not sure if that's you or that's me, Delena, but looks like we're frozen up for a second here. Let's give it a second. We'll see if this comes back on. Well, I thought you were just ready to be done.
I don't know what was happening there.
I don't know. It's all good. It's all good.
Technology. That is not my realm to fix.
Always technology. Yep. It's a good reminder why they still need people like you to help make things work when technology doesn't, right? That being said, hey, we are wrapping up here, and I want to honor people's time. But I had this idea, and I want to maybe just think about this. But I know there are multiple other people who, are in that early part of the career where they're asking questions. They don't know where to get answers. I wonder if it might be really cool for us to do like a live webinar or something sometime where they could jump on and ask some of those questions. It could just be like 45 minutes and people would feel like they have a place to go rather than Google or ChatGPT or something, like someone who's been in the trenches like you, who gets their mission and get what they're doing. So maybe think about that. Maybe we put that together and send some emails out. And I think that'd be a really fun conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the one thing I will say is that as frustrated as I was in my early part of my career, thinking like, this is not what I thought God called me to, all of those times built skills and different like things that I needed later. I didn't know what it was building then. So it was an extremely frustrating period. And I'm not going to gloss over that it's like, hey, you're not where you think you're supposed to be. But it does, like, I think God has a way of working things out that it all does work out for the good.
That's a good reminder for the frustrations that we face today, knowing sometime we'll be be able to tell someone, hey, those things too worked out ultimately for our good as well. And to the benefit of others, it sounds like, which is a really cool part of your story. So Delena, thank you for taking time. Thanks for the work you do with all these different ministries and letting me be a part of your day and a fun conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Owen.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
You too.